German tanks such as the Panther and Tiger I from World War II were renowned for their cutting-edge technology and impressive performance on the battlefield. These tanks outclassed many of their adversaries because of their strong armor, potent cannons, and sophisticated suspension systems. There have been discussions on the expense of these developments because it is often believed that these tanks were overly complex and over-engineered. Engineering and its effects on society, especially in authoritarian regimes, are central to the narrative. It all started in the 1930s, when Germany lost its ability to manufacture tanks and armored troops after giving up factories and land to France. In a culture that values privilege, power, and fear, the narrative emphasizes the limitations of engineering. Reverting to basics and using covert tactics were necessary for Hitler's goal of reconstructing the army. Within Russian boundaries, Germany laid a foundation with help from Soviet Russia. One of the first tanks designed to evaluate tank functioning and construction was the Panzer II. Due to the military need and the knowledge that there wouldn't be enough genuine tanks ready in time, it was deployed in both World War II and the Spanish Civil War despite being a prototype. Similar in design but differing in size and armament, Germany wanted the Panzer III and IV to serve as its primary tanks during World War II. Concepts for tank use created in the early 1930s served as the foundation for these variations. Panzer IIIs were made by Daimler-Benz and Panzer IVs by Krupp. Produced non-stop during the war, the Panzer IV was a sturdy design. Due to the Russian T-34 and KV-1 tank superiority against Germany's Panzer III and IV tanks in 1941, the development of the Tiger I and Panther programs was hastened. The Tiger I is well known for its size and engineering, but it also serves as an example of how an obsession with these aspects led to an overall disappointment. Lighter and quicker medium tanks took the role of the heavily armored breakthrough tanks, and this fixation with erecting massive structures under authoritarian governments gave rise to the Tiger. Porsche and Henschel engineers competed to create the Tiger tank in order to get Hitler's approval during demonstrations. In an effort to impress the Führer, Germany made significant scientific improvements during World War II, but these efforts were marred by unreliability and excessive manufacturing costs. Army engineers were pleased with an early, British-captured version, but they soon realized it would cost a lot and take up a lot of factory time and resources. The Tiger tank was an amazing and strong machine. The absence of efficient production procedures hindered German tanks' ability to be produced, even with their superior armor plate and sophisticated welding. By removing viewports and unnecessary flaps, switching from leather to canvas seats, and maintaining key components, manufacturers might have reduced production costs. Due to the creation of goods targeted at a particular set of politicians, resources and money were wasted. Mobility, firepower, and armor were all balanced in the Panther, an early modern main combat tank. It borrowed Tiger I's superior suspension and engine, as well as the sloping armor from Russian tank design. The first iterations were hurriedly put into battle, which turned out to be a blunder. Despite its flaws, the Russian-developed Panther tank proved to be a very powerful weapon. It was quickly rebuilt and improved, making it a reasonably priced vehicle. Thanks to improved production techniques and a more efficient design, the 45-ton Panther cost just a little bit more than the Panzer IV. Because they were deployed quickly without enough time to solve problems, the heavier German tanks, like the Panther and Tiger, had a reputation for being difficult to maintain and unreliable. But as the war dragged on, these problems were fixed, and they became dependable machines. On the other hand, compared to simpler Allied tanks, their sophisticated design meant that maintenance and repairs took longer. Operational withdrawals accounted for the majority of tank losses, making damaged tank recovery challenging. Vehicle breakdowns were more frequent as the Wehrmacht withdrew. Germany's sensible tank option remained the Panzer IV, which satisfied specifications and filled in manufacturing gaps left by the problems with Tiger I and Panther tanks. Due to its ability to efficiently meet demands, production of it continued throughout the conflict. On the eastern and western fronts, many adequate tanks proved to be too strong for even the most exquisitely constructed tanks to win. Excessive regard for the leader in authoritarian nations frequently results in the creation of unrealistic goods and erroneous progress. While people made things to please or avoid his criticism, Hitler relished viewing new products and sharing his ideas. Hitler used more unusual tactics, and Germany and Russia differed greatly in their designs. Tank manufacturing quality was also affected by the enemy's tank longevity throughout the conflict, with the Soviets emphasizing tank manufacture because of significant losses. Despite being thought to have a simpler design, Soviet tanks, such as the T-34, were not much more dependable than over-engineered Panther or Tiger tanks. The T-34's unreliability was made worse by Germany's emphasis on increasing tank production, which led to a shortage of replacement parts. The view that creating many smaller and lighter tanks would have been a more successful approach arose from the failure of the ongoing hunt for larger and superior tanks. Germany's industrial capabilities and national restrictions prevented it from competing favorably with the Allies, especially the Soviets and Americans. They managed to produce more Panzer IVs and Stug IIIs, but not quite as many as the Allies' massive tank production figures. The best course of action for them was to build better tanks, such as the Panther and Tiger I, which could fight many Allied tanks and win. Some tanks proved their worth even if they could not provide the best possible results in battle. Still, a great deal of time, money, and resources were wasted as a result of the costly design choices made by the Germans, such as the Jag Tiger and the ostentatious Tiger II AFV. These illustrations demonstrate the demand for more economical and effective tank designs. Most ideas did not go into significant production, but by 1944, the Wehrmacht was equipped with tanks that were badly conceived and lacked uniformity. Although they required a lot of resources and did a lot of damage, heavy tanks were worth it. Rather than over-engineering, The primary obstacle was the political issues that caused manufacturing to be spread among several businesses. A lack of industrial standards and an emphasis on quantity were the results of the Nazis' dominance, which allowed their vested interests to be maintained even during a complete war. Battles were made more difficult by this disjointed strategy. The Wehrmacht was able to win some with subpar tanks, but would eventually lose others with better ones. The outcome of a battle is not solely determined by the level of complexity or simplicity of the equipment used by military fans. Instead of concentrating on building as many tanks as the Allies, Germany made quality its first priority. The results of creating lighter and more reasonably priced tanks are yet unknown, notwithstanding the failure of this particular plan. The solution to this question is ultimately ambiguous.